Hello Stamping friends. Today I have this wonderful card here. We're going to just cover this card with a lot of bright vivid colors, and we're going to be using the Beauty of Friendship stamp set by Stampin' Up! For our tree. We're going to use these images, and then I wanted to bring in this big thanks, and that comes from the Artistically inked stamp set, also by Stampin' Up! You can find all the product links and the card piece dimensions below this video. Just click Show More to reveal. And if you find this tutorial inspiring, please like and subscribe and click that little bell so that you're notified anytime I post a new video. So are you ready to make a scene? Let's start. We're going to start with a 3 7/8 square basic white panel, and we're going to heat emboss some images. We're going to start with the detailed leaf image for this tree. Let's see, we're going to stamp it. We're going to use Mossy Meadow ink and Versamark. So to do this, we're going to load our stamp with Versamark, load it with ink, and then stamp our tree. And right about there. That Versamark gives your ink some stickiness, and that way you can heat emboss the image. We're going to use clear embossing powder. I'll load that on there. Tap it off, give the back a flip, and then we're going to heat it. We're only going to heat it until the embossing turns shiny. Okay. So we have that all embossed, and now we're going to go with the solid leaf treetop image, and we are going to use Pear Pizzazz. We want a good contrasting color. Pear Pizzazz is one of the light greens, so it's going to contrast really well with that dark Mossy Meadow. We're going to also load this solid image up with Versamark and then our Pear Pizzazz. And then we're going to overstamp this image. And then we're going to heat emboss it with our clear embossing powder. Heat this up quickly. Okay, so that's all done. Now we need our tree trunk, and we are going to use soft suede ink for that. I'm going to load our image up with Versamark, our soft suede. Then we're going to overstamp our leaves here. I like the branches to show a little bit below our tree. So there we have that. I'm going to heat emboss this. Okay, now our image is completely heat embossed, so it will resist any ink we put on top of it. Now we're going to start putting our sky in. We're going to use blending brushes. I'm going to take my blue blending brush. Some ink on it. I'm going to start here at the top. I'm just going to use a circular motion. We want ink over like the top. We're going to say 2/3 of the panel. So that was Pacific Point. Now let's see, let's put some yellow at the bottom. And we're using Bumblebee for this. Try not to overlap your blue and your yellow, otherwise you end up with green, because the the golden rule, blue and yellow make green. So there's our Bumblebee. Now we need some mountain shapes in the background, and we're going to take a 3x5 post-it note. This is the sticky part up here, and we're going to rip a mountain shape in this. Make your mountain as big or as little as you want. They could be hills. And let's see, let's put it more over here. Maybe a little higher up. No two of these are ever going to be alike. We're going back in our Pacific Point here. And we're going to kind of fill in that hill shape with Pacific Point. And I'm not going to go down into that yellow, so stay above your yellow. You're going to put enough on to when you peek underneath, you're going to see a distinct hill shape there. Okay, now I want a darker hill in there also. So we're going to use Night of Navy for that. I'm going to use that same post-it note, only we're going to bring it over here to get another hill shape in. It's going to be a bit littler. There we go. Just make sure, one thing, be very careful not to bring any color over here to this side of the post-it note. Make sure you stop well before you get to this edge. Otherwise you're going to have this really weird mark on your scene, and we don't want that. So we're going to use Night of Navy and put a dark hill in here. Remove our post-it note. There's our dark hill. And I believe we're going to stamp our shadow. Let's see, let's stamp our shadow for our tree. We're going to have this little shadow image that comes with the set. We're going to stamp it kind of at the tree base, a little higher than below the tree. You want that shadow to be kind of covering the bottom of the tree base. Okay, and that was with Cinnamon Cider. We're going to continue with that color. We're going to add some, let's say we're going to add some tall grasses. So with grasses, I like to use a sponge for that. So I have an old piece of sponge here, and I'm going to make swiping motion here. Get some tall grasses in. And I kind of like to have them slanted. Makes it look like you've got some wind blowing. All right. Now we're going to go back into our night of navy. I want some darkness up in our sky so it just isn't like one tone there. So I'm going to turn it this way. I'm just going to add a little bit of that darkness up here. Circular motion. Trying not to make a racing stripe. Yeah, got little hills. So there's our night of navy up in our sky. We are going to also use that night of navy for our sentiment. So we're going to load our stamp up. Stamp it right next to our tree. Voila, there's our scene. Lastly, I like to take a paper towel, kind of wipe off any ink I might have on the embossed image. It kind of brightens it up a little bit. I'm not scrubbing, I'm just lightly rubbing it. There we have it. There's our scene for today. That came together pretty quick, right, for heat embossing and everything. So here are our pieces for our card. The magic of video, I've already have it put together. Our main image panel is 5.5 by 8.5 Pacific Point cardstock, and it's folded in half. Our inside is 4" by 5.25 for the night of navy, and 3.75 by 5 for the basic white. Outside I did 2" strips, and there are 4.25 wide. I did one in night of navy and one in cinnamon cider. And then I used the Parisian Flourish 3D embossing folder for this. I like to keep my covers on here, so I rubber band them on. But this is a beautiful embossing folder. So I just ran it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and then adhered them to the front of the card. Lastly, took our main image panel and I used Stampin' Dimensionals for the back and put it on the front. Give it a little popped up. And there's our card all finished. I hope you are inspired by today's project. Bye!